Hi everyone, it's Paul here. Hope you're all doing okay. Welcome to the video for day one of the 2025 Cheltenham Festival. We're a little over 28 hours away, I think it is now, until the best 4 days of the year starts. First of all, I've just been going back all over on my old videos. I just want to say thanks to everyone who keeps coming back and commenting year on year. Really appreciate it. I've just looked back now and this is my 15th consecutive year doing this, which is quite frightening really, going back all the way to 2011. So thanks to everyone who keeps coming back. Really appreciate it. Hope you find some use in it. And, in a dream world, find some winners from it too. But let's get cracking. Day one, as always, starts slightly revised start time, obviously, now with a lot of these races, with the 1:20, which is, well, it's quite an emotional, quite an emotional start this year. Obviously, it's the Supreme Novice Hurdle, grade 1 over 2 mile, but named this year in memory and in honour of Michael O'Sullivan. Obviously, everyone who follows racing knows tragic incident where he passed away following a fall a good few weeks back. Cracking young jockey, by all accounts, really nice fella. So I think it's a really nice touch from Cheltenham to do this. It needed to happen, and especially in the Supreme Novice, because he won it on Marine Nationale himself a few years ago. So you're going to get the roar of the crowd, but there's always going to be a tinge of sadness, I would say, this year, given what's happened in the past few weeks. It's also got to be said as well, massive credit to the Irish Racing Board. The way they handled the situation at the time and everything since was absolutely A1, so fair play to them. But going straight into the action here, the favourite for most of the winter, understandably, and current favourite now, currently at odds on 10 to 11, is Copec de Board. Willie Mullins trained, Paul Townend takes the ride. 2 for 2 over hurdles, done very little wrong, to be honest with you. Really taking win at the Dublin Racing Festival in the grade 1 there. 13 length win. I think there's more to come. Do you know what? I learned something last night when I was going through and doing my study, shall we say. There's something just niggling me on this one, really. One, he can be keen in his races, which is fine. Novices can be. And sometimes you can be dead keen and just have an unbelievable engine, which he might have. But something I've noticed, Willie Mullins has gone for a first-time hood here. Now, I might be wrong here, and if I am, please someone tell me. I've gone back and looked through Willie Mullins at the festival when he's gone for first-time hood or first-time gear, and he's only got a record of 1 win out of 33 horses at Cheltenham, from what I can see, where he's gone for the first-time hood. Now, we had Tully Hill last year, who was a very similar type of horse, quite gassy, quite free. Was favourite for a long time for the Supreme Novice, got a bit overheated and came down the field in the end. So while Copec de Board, by all accounts, is something right up the top draw, that is a nagging doubt I've got for taking odds on. Another horse, for those who have followed me for long enough, going back about 14 years ago, Dungwib from Ireland as well, was very similar, and he came third when odds on as well. So I've got that nagging away at the back of my mind. To be honest, the sick point on this one is Britain have only managed to get 2 horses in here. One of them has absolutely no chance on paper. The other one, which we'll go to next, is Tripoli Flyer for Fergal O'Brien and Jonathan Burke. To be honest, it's actually got good form. Came second in the grade 2 bumper at Aintree last year. 3 for 4 over hurdles this year, including winning the Dovecote and the latest one. So that's actually quite good form, though the Dovecote hasn't exactly been like a signature race for going on to Supreme Novice success. Biggest concern I've got is after that, if you actually read the post-race thing, he was actually reported to have bled after the race. Suppose you could upgrade the performance and say bled and still won really well, but that will be a concern like less than a month before the festival, I suppose. Willie Mullins and Elliott and the usual suspects mob-handed here. Salvatore Mundi, this time last year, was seen as a future superstar, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, there just doesn't seem to be the confidence in him this year. He ran well to come 6th in the county last year. I think people were expecting more, but it was a good run, solid run. 2 for 2 over hurdles this year. clearly has an engine, but the one thing that I've noticed from watching the county and both ones this year, he does have a tendency to absolutely flatten. He does have a tendency to flatten a hurdle, and you're not going to get away with it in this race because there's going to be a lot of pace on. Paul Townend's deserted him. Patrick Mullins takes the ride. And Paul Townend very rarely misses when he has to select between the Mullins horses. I think he could run well, but I just suspect others have improved past him this year from all accounts. Work Ahead is interesting. Henry de Bomed, Rachel Brackmore. He didn't even make his rules debut until December, which is quite late in the day, I suppose, before a Supreme Novice. Run okay that race, but 3 weeks later, really took that form to the next level, massively stepped up. And you could forgive the first run. It was his first run coming from France, so he knew a bit more about it. The time, for those who follow the times, the time of that Leopardstown maiden win was really, really fast. So time-wise, it's great. Substance of a maiden win, you've always got to be in and out there. He's not been tested at this level, but he literally could be anything. That day, he beat William Money, the Connell train, Flanagan taking the ride here, and because he's reopposing. And he beat him fair and square. Now, there seems to be a little bit more confidence behind William Money than there does behind Work Ahead, but I always go with the form. Work Ahead beat him that day fair and square. So unless that one's improved massively beyond Work Ahead, I still think Work Ahead's the type who's got a lot more to come, and probably still holds William Money, I'm going to guess, based on back form. But for what I'm actually backing here, with that nagging doubt around Copec de Board and taking odds on, I actually really like Romeo Coolio. Gordon Elliott trained, Jack Kennedy, obviously back from another serious injury, he takes the ride. Because he's been there and done it, and he's a very hardy horse, which I like that. Came second in the Champion Bumper last year. And what I liked was it was a proper street fighting performance. Got there, put his head down, battled, just got beat by a better one on the day in Jasmine DeVoe, but he really, really knuckled down well. And there was good distances back to the other horses, etc. So that form's actually pretty cool. Since he's gone hurdles, he's won 2 out of 3. His latest over Christmas was a 9-length Group 1 win. Jumped really well and was dead strong at the end of the race. The one time he lost was going right-handed. And what I noticed is, as he was going right-handed, he noticeably jumped to the left. So he clearly didn't like going right-handed. So I can forgive that run based on that. But he's got course form with the Champion Bumper. He's got Grade 1 winning form. He's 2 for 3. And as I said, he's got a little bit more. You could argue he's more exposed than the others, but yeah, but he's got that experience from last year at Cheltenham with the Bumper. 3 runs over hurdle. It's a nice amount. And I know the Elliott Yard really fancy him. So while Copec de Board could be the one, and go and destroy him, or like Constitution Hill did the other year, I just think Romeo Coolio currently around 6 to 1. Bearing in mind, he's been there and done that, so I don't think the occasion's going to get to him. He's not a buzzy horse either, so I don't think he's the type to overboil. I just think Romeo Coolio at 6 to 1 is the way to go. I'm going to back him each way personally, especially when there's an odds on there. Just with that niggling doubt, but Copec de Board could be anything, but Romeo Coolio is the percentage for me. 1, 2, 3 then for the Supreme Novice Hurdle, Romeo Coolio from Work Ahead and Copec de Board. The 2 o'clock is the Arkle Grade 1 Novices Chase over 2 mile. Really disappointing that there's only 5 horses in this, but this is becoming like a real noticeable, I suppose you'd say, decline in this race. I think the fact that there's now 2.5 mile races, etc., dilutes it further, but we have got what we've got. The odds-on favourite is Madgeborough. Obviously, this race has lost a lot of sparkle, etc., and stuff like that with Sergino going out. Sergino would have destroyed this field, by the way, just for the record. I do love Sergino, as you know. But Willie Mullins trained. Mark Walsh taking the ride. Won the Triumph last year really well. 2 for 2 over fences. Won the Irish Arkle by 9 lengths. Seems to go on all ground. Absolutely routed the reopposing Touch Me Not, who is here again on that Irish form, and he's going to be very hard to beat. As I said, touching on that one, Touch Me Not got fair and square beaten that day by him. He was also fair and square beaten by the second favourite in here, which is Le de Sud for the Skelton Yard, Harry and Dan Skelton. Now, Le de Sud is 4 from 4 over fences. Now, what I would say is, in terms of what he's achieved over fences, he's absolutely faultless. He won the course and distance Arkle trial. He then went and won the Henry VIII just before the Tingle Creek at Sandown in December. And he then went and won the Kingmaker at Warwick. Warwick is one of the toughest jumping tests that there is. And he's come through all of it, 4 from 4 over fences, and he's won every major race for a novice, pretty much, for 2 mile novices in England this year. He also beat in the Henry VIII Touch Me Not. As I said, Madge was beating him and he's beaten him. So on all known form, that they are held there. Django Bay is for Nicky Henderson, Nico de Boinville. This one is so hard to weigh up. 1 for 2 over fences. Didn't jump particularly well one time. The other time looked flawless. But both runs have been over 2.5 mile, and they're dropping him back to 2 mile. Now, he's got no 2 mile form in the book, but he's clearly got an engine. I just wonder if it's gonna put too much stress on his jumping now going over a fast 2 mile, especially on likely quicker ground. And the only other one to mention here is Only by Night, Gavin Cromwell, Donahue taking the ride. This adds another layer to it because she's a mare, so he's getting a £7 allowance. She's 3 for 3 over fences, done absolutely nothing wrong. But what I would say is her Racing Post ratings are colossally lower than the like of Madgeborough and Le de Sud, even with the £7 mare's allowance. So she's got about a stone to find, and while she might come forward again, that's hard to see. For the 1, 2, 3 then, Madgeborough obviously the pick because she runs to the highest marks, though Le de Sud at 6 to 1, sorry, it's 5.5 to 1. I'm looking at on my tablet here now. He should be an each way bet to nothing, but I just think Madgeborough is. They said last year before the Triumph, anything he does over hurdles will be a bonus because he's all about fences, and he should be hard to beat here. So the 1, 2, 3 is Madgeborough from Le de Sud, and I'll actually put Only by Night in because, you know, she might come forward a few more pounds on there. The 240 is the Ultima Handicap Chase, Class 1, 3 mile 1, and this is an incredibly hard race this year. I've got a very good record if you look back at my old videos in this race, but this year there's not many what I would call handicap blots here for sure. The Irish in this don't have a particularly good record either. Though one horse I am going to put in here because he's 25 to 1 currently, and I think he's overpriced, is Search for Glory, Gordon Elliott, Sam Ewan. Came 7th in the Albert Bartlett last year, doing all of his best work at the finish. Big strapping horse, so was always going to be a better chaser in my opinion. Came a short head second in a Grade 2 3 mile in November, so clearly got an engine there. Now, last run, everything went completely wrong. But on that previous form, and the form of, you know, running a decent race in the Albert Bartlett, he could be a class horse in the race if whatever issue bothered him last time he's got over. 11 stone 9, not the best weight, but not bad. But 25 to 1 Search for Glory. I'm just thinking with some bookies paying like 7 places in this race, there could be worse each way plays. Broadway boys in here, very stalwart horse, the Twiston Davises, Nigel and Sam Twiston Davis, course and distance winner, very consistent, but that is a massive weight of 11 stone 12 to carry top weight. And my worry I've got here is there's 2 bits of worry I've got here. One, really, really bad run over course and distance last time, and they said they didn't know why, nothing came to light. That would be a slight concern. And while he ran a really good race in the race that was known as the Hennessy, it's called, I think is it the Ladbroke Trophy now, or they changed the name, or the Coral Trophy. They changed the name of it. I always call it the Hennessy at Newbury, because that's what I always remember it as. Before that, it was the Whitbread. Because the Can-Do Kid won it that day, and that horse has badly let the form down in a couple of runs since. So that's a concern. And, you know, at the weight, he should run a good race, but for a win purposes, I'm not 100% convinced on him, to be honest. I do really like the changing man the Tizard yard with Brendan Powell taking the ride. 11 stone 2, ideal weight. He's never been out the top 2 this season around this trip, apart from one time when he fell on his first run of the season. He's been running consistently in grade 2 and grade 3 levels. Not always winning, but running well. So that's kept his handicap mark at a really nice weight. He seems to be tactically versatile. I've seen him front run. I've seen him race prominence. I've seen him race further back. And so he seems to have everything ticked for this type of race. Very, very similar profile to Chianti Classico, who we tipped up and won on last year. Now, the big danger, I think, to this one could be Henry's Friend for the massively informed Ben Paulignard, Ben Jones taking the ride. The key to this horse seems to be having him fresh. So I like the fact that since his win at Newbury over Christmas, they've kept him fresh. He run well in the Hennessy, staying on from a mile back, which makes me think he's a real stamina horse. And then a few weeks later, he went back to Newbury, made no mistake. Again, all best work at the finish. 11 stone 7 is not a bad weight. He should run a really, really good race. Whistle Stop Tour. Lucinda Russell, Derek Fox, he's got in off no weight at 10 stone 12. And obviously this yard with the likes of Cora Cramble know exactly how to win this race. He's been consistent enough over 3 mile, and he ran well for a long way at the course over 2.5 mile last time. Again, looking outpaced and staying on. There's literally nothing to put you off this horse here. It's just a case of, are you going to go with potential class versus potential well-weighted, which is always the tricky in handicaps. Catate Dory for Sam Thomas, Dylan Johnston's interesting. 3 for 4 over fences. Obviously, what was the Racing Post Trophy, as it was called, latest. Again, another one that's changed his name. 10 stone 13 is a good weight. Nothing to put you off, apart from that run was quite soon, and he's not the biggest of horses, so has it taken the edge off him? One horse that's been gambled in, and it's going to probably end up going off favourites here, I think, is Crebley for the O'Neills. John Joe O'Neill Jr. riding for John Joe O'Neill Sr., but I don't understand why, unless JP McManus knows something here that we all don't. He's got 11 stone, which is nice. He placed in the plate last year, went looking like he was going to win, but for me, didn't fully get up the hill. Since then, he's been in absolutely no form whatsoever this season, and he's never run over this distance. So it's being gambled, but on bare form, I just don't know why. So I'm not putting him in, but I'm not JP McManus, so I might not know something. But I'm basing it on form. So the 1, 2, 3 then for the Ultima Handicap, I am going for the Changing Man from Henry's Friend and Whistle Stop Tour. Which brings us on to the 320 now, which is the David Nicholson Mears Hurdle, grade 1 over 2.5 miles. This has been, he's in, she's out, she's in, she's out, she's in. It looked like Lossie Mouse was going to Champion Hurdle. Champion Hurdle now, Lossie Mouth is out of. Golden Ace was right up here at the head of the market for this race. She's out of this race and going the Champion Hurdle. It's made it really hard. But there's 4 pieces of, or 4 quality horses, I think, in this race. The rest seem to be out of it. Lossie Mouth, what a horse. Willie Mullins, Paul Townend, carried all before her last season, came back with a staggering victory, beating Tihupu over 2.5 mile, and looked like she'd come in at halfway. The wheels have kind of fallen off since then, but have they? Got beat by Constitution Hill over Christmas and the Christmas Hurdle. Now, that was a step back to 2 mile, which didn't look ideal. I actually didn't want her to go the Champion Hurdle necessarily, to be honest. And apparently she was all wrong that day in flat, but she still ran Constitution Hill to like 3 or 4 lengths. Okay, Constitution Hill was about 70% that day, but still not a bad piece of form. The concern will come is the last time out when running against State Man, and she took a big fall 3 flights from home. Apparently she's none the worse the were for it. It's not, I respect the decision they've done. That is not ideal prep for a Champion Hurdle at all. And what I would say is they were going that beat faster, and she was having to go that beat faster. I think bringing her down to an easier race like the Mears Hurdle is a good move. And I still think, given her Cheltenham record as well, she's the horse they've all got to beat. Jade de Grugy, everyone will know I was massive on this last year, and she got a stinker of a ride by Paul Townend last year. was absolutely cruising in a small field, somehow got into a load of trouble on the bend. Still don't know how he did it. And then when everyone came over to the stand side, he decided to go up the middle of the track. And he was only beaten she was only beaten about 4 lengths. It was horrendous. But what I would say is the yard 4 vibes on this one don't seem to be as strong. Paul Townend's understandably riding Lossiemouth. Danny Mullins is riding Jay de Grugy. She's 2 for 2 since then. Done nothing wrong. And she's still high quality. My biggest concern for her is everything she's ever done has been on heavy ground, and we're not going to have heavy ground tomorrow. So she will have to prove it on lightly faster ground. And I think that's where the yard vibe isn't coming from, really. But I still think she'll hit the frame. July Flower could be anything. Henry de Bromhead, Rachel Blackmore, has only had 1 run outside of France. Did it really well, but she could be anything. But on the bare form of that run, I don't know how good she is. You're literally going to be going off yard vibes. The form of the win hasn't been franked or particularly worked out great. Visually, it was impressive. It's hard to weigh up. Now, the interesting one here is Joyeuse, Nikki Henderson, Nico de Boinville. JP McManus supplemented this for 25,000 last week, which was interesting. She obviously won what was the Betfair Hurdle. God knows what it's called now at Newbury. Travelled well, really came home again in the soft going. She was a good course and distance second in December behind Wadhu, who is really well thought of for, well, I want to say the Martin Pipe. She's still in about 5 races. I don't know what she's going for at this second. And she made a massive mistake at the last, and it probably cost her. Again, the nagging doubt is her best form is on really soft ground, like in the Betfair Hurdle and like that at Christmas. For all, I think she's improving and she'll run well. But for the win, I am going with Lossiemouth. I don't think they would risk a horse of her quality if she wasn't right after the fall. She's been here and done it. I think they're taking the sensible option, and I think she'll still take all the beating. 1, 2, 3 for the Meuse Hurdle, Lossiemouth from Jay de Grugy and Joyeuse. Which now brings us to the big race of day 1, which is the Champion Hurdle, Grade 1, 2 mile, and it does look like to be an old-fashioned, the old guard versus the new generation here. Constitution Hill versus Brighter Days Ahead. Going through the other ones here, massive respect to the Jeremy Scott yard for allowing Golden Ace to take a chance. She's been in great form this year, and to be honest, she could have gone exceptionally close, I think, in the Meuse Hurdle, but they've decided to roll the dice, and fair play to them. Will she be good enough for this? I don't think she will be on this ground. I think she needs 2.5 mile, but she's going to help force a very decent pace. I'm going to suspect they're going to put her forward. King of Kingsfield is in here because I think Jigginstown want to run it. Anything he's done is nowhere near good enough for this. Winter Fog hasn't run to a mark good enough, but did run on quite nicely behind State Man a couple of times. So you know what? He's probably earned his place in the lineup. For all I can't see him bothering the judge. The reigning champ is in here, State Man, who, you know what, he's done great down the years. But the reality is this: State Man has been slammed by Brighter Days Ahead twice this year and murdered by Constitution Hill another year, and he's another year older, and they've also reached for cheap pieces now. So on all things being equal, he will have to do a career best at his age to go and beat the front two, or hope the front two completely fall apart, and I can't see that. Which leaves us with Brighter Days Ahead, the mare, Gordon Elliott train, Jack Kennedy on it. Beat State Man twice this year. Last time out, visually, very, very impressive. My concern I've got with her for it is, one, she clearly runs with the choke out. That is what's really, really noticeable, and that could actually set it up for Constitution Hill. Secondly, she was beat, and I know they can improve drastically, I know that. She was still beaten in the Meuse Novices last year by the likes of Golden Ace. Don't get me wrong, she's a lot better than that, I think. But again, she was very buzzy in the prelims that day, tanked through the race, went about, well, I checked, it went to like 1.4 on the exchanges, and didn't fully get there. The concern is there's going to be a lot of pace on here, I think. I think King of Kingsfield's going to go forward. I think Golden Ace is going to go forward. Brighter Days Ahead is going to go forward. And I think it's going to set it up for what is a legend, isn't it? Constitution Hill. Literally, you cannot knock him. Nicky Henderson, Nico de Boinville, completely unbeaten. Won a Supreme against John Bon, who's high quality, like he had just joined in. His Champion Hurdle wins have just been absolutely incredible. He's had his problems and he had basically a year off. Came back at Kempton, where he said he was about 70%, tanked through the race and beat a half-decent field. Yeah, he got a race and he had a good blow after 2 out. He still destroyed him. Went the international, absolutely battered him. Okay, people are talking a lot about, when he made the mistake at the last when he went through it. He probably still had a lot of gas in. It was only his second run after 13 months. And don't remember when he won the champion hurdle, he went very, very long. So he has got that in him, but he's got a brain on him. That's one thing. I do believe that the faster they go, the better he will be. And I just think it's going to set up nicely for him. The only thing I think that can beat him is a reoccurrence of some type of issue he's had this year if he does it in race. But on everything other than that, I think even though Brighter Days Ahead gets the Mers allowance, I do think Constitution Hill will beat her. 1, 2, 3 for the champion hurdle, Constitution Hill from Brighter Days Ahead and Stateman. The 440 is the Fred Winter Handicap, Class 1 hurdle, 2 miles. I've had, and anyone who follows my WhatsApp knows I've had a massive fancy for this and a massive anti-post for a long, long time. And he's running, so I'm delighted. And that is total luck for Gavin Cromwell. Keith Donoghue gets in off 11 stone 8. 3 hurdles runs, only won the once, but gets a nice mark as a result. Won really well on debut. I told everyone at the time who follows me on WhatsApp, I said on the WhatsApp service, I said, get everything you want on this. It's going to win. I've known some people connected to it. I know people, various people, let's just say, to do with this one, and it was ready first time up. It was 9-2, got backed in, and it absolutely battered everyone. It was great. At that point, I'd already had my bet on the this Fred Winter 25-1. Then I had a bit more at 16s. And amazingly, this one has continued to come in despite not winning. Went to Cheltenham the next time, got a shocking ride in my opinion. Only got beaten a length and a half. The ride wasn't great. And last time out, run really well despite the ground being heavy, which being a complete flatbred horse, it was never going to suit. Kept fresh for this. The ground has come right. Lovely weight. I'm all over total luck at 11-2. Well, 11-2, but obviously a lot bigger. Stencil could be anything for the George Zetterholm yard or whatever they're calling themselves now over in France. James Reevely taking the ride. Big weight off 11 stone 11. Got a high mark because of his second to East India Dock in the trial. Was only run outside France, but tanked through the race that day. It's just a case of, is he going to kick on from there on his second run? Who knows? And I just think total luck getting a bit of weight from him might just have the edge. Beyond Your Dreams there's 2 Beyond Your Dreams and Put Your Hands Together. Both Joseph O'Brien trained, both JP McManus owned. But it's interesting that seemingly Mark Walsh has picked Put Your Hands Together as JJ Slevin rides Beyond Your Dreams. And obviously Mark Walsh gets the pick of the Irish-based ones for McManus. Put Your Hands Together, 3 runs, 1 win, but he didn't jump with any fluency last time. But Walsh has picked him, which I find interesting, but he'll have to jump a lot better. While Beyond Your Dreams has got a lovely weight off 10 stone 13. He's had 3 runs, but was behind total luck in December comprehensively. I just think based on that form as well, I just think total luck, even giving him £9 with more to come, still just about holds him, but it's not much between them there. And one you've got to throw in because it's absolutely mad. Tom Dascombe, the flat trainer's got hot fuss in here. David Bass taking the ride. Was only beaten 4 lengths by East India Dock back in October. Made a massive mistake at the last. Is consistent, but has had a mad build-up to this, running on the all-weather at Southwark, which I don't understand. The chances are, while it's great Tom Dascombe's doing it, credit to him, the chances are I think he's going to fall a bit short in this company. But for the 1, 2, 3 then, I think it's between the McManus runners, but I'm still going with my total luck. If I change my mind now, I'd be an idiot, wouldn't I? 1, 2, 3 for the Fred Winter, total luck from Beyond Your Dreams, and I'm going to put Stencil in there as well. And finally, the end of day 1, the 520, the National Hunt Handicap Chase. It's a Class 2 over 3 miles 6. It's now not just open to amateur riders. I'm a massive fan, and if you watch my video for the Each Way Lucky 31, I love Haiti colours here. Rebecca Curtis, Ben Jones takes the ride, interesting jockey booking. Very consistent, 11 stone 4. Beat Transmission, who reopposes and is strongly fancied here, over 3 mile at the course. Looks like he was going to get taken, but just kept grinding it out. I think with this horse, the further they go, the better he'll be. And interestingly enough, he was seen as good enough to leave in the Brown advisory, but they went for this race. The yard knows how to win it. I'm very confident on this. Now is the Hour is the current favourite, and he could be anything. Gavin Cromwell, Keith Donoghue taking the ride. More weight with 11.8. He's been average, you would say, this season, but he looks a plodder, and he looks the type that could be a bit of a swizz now stepping up to the extreme trip. The money is down, and I think he could run a really good race. Now, I mentioned Transmission before for Neil Mulholland. It's interesting they've booked Patrick Mullins, an amateur, even though it's not open to amateur. Now, Transmission was really poor latest, but has shown a liking for the course down the years. Very close form time with Haiti Colours, and I just think Haiti Colours that day looked more of a stayer than Transmission did. I'm hoping, but we'll find out. For the bigger prices, Resplendent Grey's interesting for the Ollie Murphy yard. Interest in jockey booking as well, Sean Bowen. High-class hurdler, taken well to fences, doing his best work late, but this is like a mile further than what he's been doing. Will he stay it? Danny Mullins rides Captain Cody. Now, I think the fact that despite all of this, Paul Townend's not taking a ride suggests the Mullins yard doesn't have a massive fancy in this. The yard has done well in the race in the past, but he seems to have improved for each run this year, but is miles below the form. And surely Patrick Mullins would have rode this over Transmission for another yard if the Mullins yard strongly fancied this, because he's kind of like second choice, if you want it right, but he hasn't. And outside of that, it's hard to make a case. Indoor for Venetia Williams. Venetia can target one. This one jumps well, yard going well, but it's a massive step up in trip, so it's hard to make a case. 1, 2, 3 then for the National Hunt Chase. Haiti Colours. I'm going to go Haiti Colours from Transmission, and Now is the Hour. So that's it for day one, guys. Let us know what you're doing. Good luck, and I'll be back for day 2 tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.